Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. Glad to be with you. Glad you're with me. Thank God for another day in the greatest country he's ever put on the face of this earth. Thank God for the opportunity that we have. Our country may not be perfect. It's far from it. But we still have the power to fix it. We still have the ability to do what we need to do. Before I get in, I'd like to thank my sponsors. Mortgage Financial here in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about this morning is the U.S. government had its first surplus on the monthly budget in 9 years for June. We had more money than we spent. What? Donald Trump's not crazy? This thing is going to work? Who saw that coming? It's an amazing thing. And so just who would have ever thought that something as such could happen? That anyway. So June 2025, $26 billion surplus. June 2024, $71.5 billion deficit. June 2023, $227 billion deficit. June 2022, $88 billion deficit. Are you seeing a trend? June 21, $174 billion deficit. Hey, I also want to mention my daughter, and she just handed me my phone. She's in here filming shorts for me today so we can listen. These kids, man, they know what's up. I wasn't even doing shorts. She's like, Dad, if you're doing some shorts, you'll get some followers. You'll get some views. We did one short the other day on YouTube, and it's blown up. So shout out to her. I love her. And anyway, she's on the other side of this camera making it happen. She's waving high in her Buc-ee's t-shirt. But anyway, look, Donald Trump knows what's up. That's why we've just got to stick with this guy. They're going to try to fracture our support. They, the man, whoever, our support for him because it's working. Because his plan is working. Okay, let's move on. X.com, real news. About 50 State Department employees were fired over the weekend after failing polygraph test. The examiners asked a pivotal question. Do you still serve Obama? To which they all answered no, and the results showed deceptiveness. This is the deep state. This is what we're after. We're only 6 months in, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And gentlemen's. Sorry. Goodness. Anyway. Then if you go to thehill.com, the Fannie Mae chairman is encouraged by chatter that Jerome Powell may be quitting. Yeah. We need him to step out of the way and let this Congress go. Let this economy go. Because if he does, it's going to blow up. And me, as a realtor and a real estate agent, that's what I need to happen. I need this housing market to get hot so I can feed my kid. So there's that. Then CNBC.com, the Federal Reserve quietly responds to the Trump administration attack over renovation. So, the deal is, they said, and I talked about this last week, Donald Trump has to have cause in order to fire Jerome Powell. What, $2.5 billion renovation or whatever it is on the Federal Reserve building. Donald Trump's like, this is outlandish. So we'll see what happens. Then I have a note of a movie I wanted to watch, so that didn't really affect us. So this was on ABC News and X.com rapid response. NEC Director Kevin Hassett on the Federal Reserve's palace-like office renovation. This is the most expensive project in Washington, D.C. history. $2.5 billion with a $700 million cost overrun. The Fed has a lot to answer for. And look, Donald Trump is a developer, so he can see where the waste is. And so this probably just gets all under his skin. And I understand it's different size and scopes, but look at the flag project that he had done at the White House. He oversaw it. He brought it in under budget and ahead of time. That's what Donald Trump's used to doing. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is from Official Leftist Translator, a.k.a. Tony on X.com. He says, let this sink in. California has more ineligible voters on its voter rolls than the population of 13 states. That's why they don't want to go to a voter ID. That's why, look, that's the deal. That's why if you could get more than the population of 13 states inside of California can vote, and they're not even citizens. It's just wild, man. Tulsi Gabbard gives an update, and this is from Eric Doherty on X.com. Tulsi says there's a war with the deep state going on, and she says, I can attest personally that my work as the director of national intelligence, the deep state is fighting us every way. We're seeing that. We know that. Even with this Epstein stuff and all that, we just have to trust the person that we trusted to be our president. 77 million of us. We've got to stick with him. We can't be divided. The Democrats know they can divide us, but the Democrats are never divided. So we just have to ride it out. Here's a quote by Gavin Newsom. This is from Jillian Michaels on X.com. He says, I don't think the president understands that cannabis farming is a vital sector of our state economy that cannot function without undocumented and child labor. If you're for undocumented labor because it's cheaper, that means you're pro-slavery. That's and you can go to the Joe Till podcast and watch where I debate a gentleman on there, and that's my point. He keeps saying, "Well, it's cheaper labor." Yeah, that's called slavery. So, well, they'll work for less if you force them to. They will. Anyway, we want all these illegals, and we want them to be able to vote only the way we tell them, and we want them to work for less and not get benefits because we're pro. The Democrats have always been the party of slavery. And so that just hasn't changed. They just call it something different now. So there's that. This is another one from Eric Doherty saying President Trump's economic advisor, the same guy, Kevin Hesset, says that Donald Trump and the POTUS does have the power to fire the Fed chair if there's a valid reason. Yeah, we know that. And then I had this thought, and this isn't an original thought. I saw it said somewhere, and it made sense to me. Why is all this stuff about Epstein blown up, right? Why is this a big deal? Because it came out that Joe Biden and the auto pen situation, all of a sudden it made news that Joe Biden didn't sign any of the stuff that happened when he was president, the pardons or the executive orders, that it was all auto pen. So what takes that away to swing the pendulum over to the Epstein stuff, get all the conservatives fired up? No, we have to stick to the plan. That's all I'm saying. We have to stick to the plan. Here's some breaking news from Right Angle News Network on X.com. Chicago Public Schools is now bankrupt. The city faces a $734 million deficit after paying for illegals and must lay off 1,450 employees, including 432 teachers and 677 special education classroom assistants. So in Chicago, they're going to have less teachers, more overcrowding of classrooms. They're not going to have as good as a special ed department. And why? Because they've chosen supporting illegals over supporting citizens. This is what happens. This is the way it goes. The money has to come from somewhere, and when it runs out, cuts have to be made. We should not be surprised by this at all. This is from Josh Dunlap. According to the CIA, 9 U.S. senators and 12 representatives that are Democrats are currently under criminal investigation for accepting foreign lobbying kickbacks. Yeah. Who knew? Golly, of course, they sell us out every chance they get. Of course, I'm glad they're under investigation. Golly, just grinds my gears, honestly. Peter Griffin. Another story about Chicago. We already covered that. Let's see. Trump is correct that the Democrat deep state has been in control of the Epstein files. Yeah, that's right. And he's saying, look, that's Alex Jones. You can go read about it. I'm just tired of that story. I understand it's impactful, but it's just a way to separate us. There's that. Gert Wilders. What is he? He's the prime minister or president of the Netherlands, Geert Wilders announces he will shut down every Islamic school in the Netherlands after he wins. Sectarianism has no place in the West. He sees what's happening to the rest of Europe. I mean, that you go look it up. You can finish that out. Okay, this is from Blazy Ingalia. She says she just finished a walkthrough of Alligator Alcatraz. Here's what she saw: the rhetoric coming from the Democrats does not match reality. Of course it doesn't. It never does. It never matches reality. So you didn't even have to tell me that. Anyway, the place is well run, safe and secure, clean and air conditioned. That's all you can ask. It even goes on to say she laid down on some of the beds and they were decent. And look, it's prison. It shouldn't be like the Marriott. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get to this guy who shot up this church in Kentucky, in Lexington, Kentucky yesterday. I knew as soon as I saw it reported what this guy's religious beliefs were. Because they didn't look. If it's a white Christian, they come out and say a white Christian male has da 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 da. They didn't. They didn't say anything about it. However, his name is Guy E. House, a pro-Palestinian convert to Islam. What? The religion of peace strikes again? Yeah. Throwback to the Geert Wilder story. This is what happens. This is the way Islam wants to take over the world. It's in the Quran. Don't believe me? Just go read. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you. If you can read, you can see it. But most of the people either can't read or won't read, and so they don't believe, oh, it's just hate-filled Islamophobia. No, just afraid of dying at the hands of Islam. I don't think that's necessarily a phobia so much as a real-life situation. Goodness. It's crazy. There were 2 dead, and the suspect was killed, according to CNN. Of course, CNN says nothing about this guy's religious makeup or whatever. You know, just another lone gunman. Just another guy, lone wolf, acting on of his own volition. No. They can't. It can't be the same thing from the same religion every time. That's not the way it works. Golly. The Irish are being told that their children will be placed into a lottery for school to put their children somewhere else because they have too many, too many foreigners moving in, too many migrants. Not even getting to choose whether to send their kid to school. This is the overarching plan to ruin the West. Can we see that now? Can you look at what's happening in Paris and London and all of these places? They're trying to do it here. Look at Texas. I mean, with Epic City. I mean, this is a concerted effort. Have no doubts. All right, let's move on. Yesterday was the anniversary of what Pope Pius XII said in 1949. He excommunicated all communists from Catholic Church, saying Marxism, calling Marxism the irreconcilable enemy of Christianity. The irreconcilable enemy of Christianity. That's exactly right. That's what he had to say about Marxism and how it has to do with, and so that's why there's such a push. Look, here's the deal. I'm very clear that I'm a Christian. I'm also very clear that I'm not perfect. But the goal is to take us over. We know in the end there's a battle between good and evil. So of course they want to get rid of Christianity. We just want everybody to be the same. No, I don't want everybody to be the same. I pray that the majority of people become Christians and wind up in heaven, but we know that that's not the case. If you take the Bible as truth, which I do. Anyway, he was dead on in 1949. Let's see what else we've got. Turns out that California, like Chicago, was having to cut some benefits for disabled California, like Chicago, yeah, is having to cut some benefits for disabled children due to how many illegals there are. Gavin, this is from Derek Evans on X.com. 60% is cutting 60% from disability benefits for disabled children because they're broke, because they're supporting illegals and not their own citizens. This is what happens. Now let's get to the good news, other than the surplus. This is from Rod D. Martin on X.com. Wyoming, USA. America just opened its first rare earths mine in 70 years. You're telling me we've allowed the world to outpace us in rare earth materials for 70 years? Anyway, we're going to be able to get coal and rare earth material from this mine, and we're going to be able to source it ourselves. Now, it's only like 2% of what we need. We've allowed the country, or we've allowed the world to get ahead of us on every single issue. Thanks, Donald Trump, for letting this happen. Thanks, Donald Trump, for getting through the red tape. We need more of these mines. We need more oil refineries. We need to go. We need to be putting our foot on the pedal and pushing forward. This is where we need to be. Now, this is from Sarah Rose on X.com. Mark Thiessen, and this was also on Fox News Sunday. Mark Thiessen, 91 indictments, Mueller probe, 2 impeachment, civil suits to back him up, to bankrupt him. But the Biden people had the Epstein files with Trump's name on it and didn't use it. That's exactly right. That's how you know he's not in there. They did everything they could to break this man, including trying to kill him twice that we know of. Anyway, that's the rundown from the weekend. But I have hope. I have hope in Jesus, and I have hope in the American people that we won't fall for the tricks and the chicanery of which the Democrats operate in, that we will push forward, that the better times are in front of us. So anyway, I hope God blesses each and every one of you today. I hope you have a great day, and we'll be back and do it all again tomorrow.